we've seen Lyra in a lot of games, and the heal for us is much more consistent than Grace is.
Yeah, but then I'm actually hoping to see Popeyes just bringing out that Grace pick they did in the previous game again, because the amount of heal coming up from Grace was just insane in that game. I mean, paired up with that Crystal Adagio, Adagio's healing actually scales with health, but then the tick, the healing that comes from Adagio is insane as well. And we saw, besides the decision making, the poorer decision-making skills from the side of Popeyes, they were so close to winning, the game between when up against Elite 8, almost forcing the game to go into round 3.
Yeah, definitely. They got so close, and I'm sure they will want to try and replicate that and maybe get a little bit closer and just win the game. But without further ado, the draft is ready, so we are going to go into the draft.
Right, so just hopping into this draft, I'm not surprised if Artisan, although Artisan is not first banning, would actually ban out the Grace, seeing the performance of Grace in the previous match. So honestly, Popeyes is probably just going to go for the Baron ban, like I was about to say. And in response, I hope Artisan just ban out this Grace or just allow Grace through, so I can see Popeyes perform again. So Vox is actually banned out. And it's quite a common ban. This series, rather for today, a lot of Voxes ban Vox being banned out.
Yeah, and immediately the Lara picked up quite high priority because they find the heal from Lyra much more consistent than Grace's, and also with Grace to get extra heal you have to build crystal power, which is not helpful for the rest of your team. The crystal power just doing damage, but that's not providing any sustain except for them in the heal. But Lyra building health is good because lots of the captain items, Crucible, War Treads, and Contraption have a lot of health built in them. So Lyra going for those captain items helps the team out with buying the items and also helps out with that extra burst, extra heal, and a lot of burst heal as well if that is what's needed. I'd like to see Idris picked up because I think, it's going to be bad. It was going to be banned away if they didn't pick it then. And they're going to ban away the Kestrel. What do you reckon they're going to respond with this ban?
Honestly, I'm not sure what Popeyes is going for because it is still quite an early stage. I mean, Idris being picked out, Idris is one of those heroes that there is really no hard check to him besides the early game. So, I really hope they would actually ban out, say, a Catherine, another Roma, and just pick out Grace as the CP carry, because it's just a heal from Lara and Grace, and then they can just pair that up with a really good frontliner like that of Weapon Black Feather. Or Baptiste is actually going to be banned out. So it is a good pick as well. I mean, Baptiste actually caused them a lot of problems in the previous game.
Yeah, Baptiste is extremely strong, and Baptiste Idris is a combination that works so well. Baptiste locking them down with the CC of his Ordained, allowing Baptiste to just dive into the backline. And the problem is with trying to pick Grace with a Lyra is that Crystal Power Grace isn't played a lot, because the problem with that is if you have a Crystal Power hero who has to spend 1.5 seconds healing their allies, then they can't do any damage. So you've got a Crystal Power carry who's not doing any damage for 1.5 seconds of a team fight. Yeah, Grace is much more used as captain.
Yeah, or they can just opt for the one-hit Grace, the Aftershock Tension Bow, or even just a Tension Bow into Aftershock. So, Grace can actually provide some damage in teamfight, and as well as the immense heal that may actually come out from Grace. But I'm not surprised, because with an Idris picked out, Idris is such a strong laner. The side of Popeyes is left with really no choice, but maybe going for a mage to put in lane, or just picking out that Gwen, because, they are actually going for the Black Feather.
Even if the Black Feather is one of the heroes that is least countered by Idris. Idris is a hard counter to people like Foxy in those band, and Gwen and Ringo, because he can just dive on top of them and get in melee range and do far more damage to them, because he's a melee hero and they're ranged, so ranged heroes do less damage. And I think Black Feather's a good pick, but now they need to be thinking, do we want to push that into jungle Crystal, or do we want to go to lane Black Feather? And they're going to pick Koshka, so that's a double melee combination of the actual carries. So we could see a Rhyme. Rhyme has seen no play at all because he's in such niche picks, but could work against this double melee comp, but I would doubt it. They're more likely just to pick a captain and probably put Adagio into Crystal. I think Koshka's really risky, because if it falls off, if she doesn't win the early game, if they go a hero who can survive early game against Koshka. Like a Grumchill would be really good here to beat that Koshka. But they might also go for a Celeste, so that if they do get to late game, it's just not going to be a contest who actually wins this. What do you think they might pick?
Yep, they can actually go on the side of Artisan and actually just pick out that Grace, because Grace paired with the Daja, they are actually going for the ride.
Yes,
and
I like the vibe.
And then Adaja would be going for the captain pick. Yeah, I have to agree with you. Rhyme is a really good pick into triple melee, and even so, Rhyme is actually pretty double melee. Sorry, and Rhyme is really good into Koshka as well. Probably not the early game, but in the later parts of game when Koshka starts fading off and stop being really reliable, because Catnip and Frenzy is easily blocked out. Rhyme is going to shine.
Yeah, definitely. Koshka has probably the strongest early game of any hero. So Rhyme's not going to win in the early game, but Rhyme also has extremely strong early game jungle clear and damage. So if he can manage to lock down Koshka with a root, then Rhyme will be able to hold his own against this Koshka. And that's all you need to do. You need to just get to late game, and then it becomes basically a Idris v Blackfeather. See who gets the kill, and if Idris can win that 1v1, Rhyme will clean up without problem.
Yep, definitely. I have to agree with you. But one thing about Rhyme for the later game is that the chase, because Idris will be so far front. Yeah, and if the fight is brought into Idris, because if Idris has to dive in, then they will definitely respond or react on the side of Popeyes to just clear and take down that Idris ASAP. So if Rhyme do not, and Rhyme lacks the chase, we all know this. You have really good zoning skills with your Winter's Fire and even your Valkyrie, but even then you do not have, like, say, because you are a melee mage after all, with distance or rather range abilities. So this is something, because Koshka is really mobile, as with Blackfeather. So Rhyme might actually have a hard time into a double melee like that on Popeyes.
Yeah, Koshka really, really quick, but when Rhyme gets the basic attacks off on Koshka obviously has to get within melee range of Rhyme to do any damage. So then he can land the basic attacks, which will slow her a little bit. And then if he feels like she's going to get away, he can use the chill winds and get a root onto Koshka, which would be pretty disastrous, because then if Koshka hasn't got any defense, say we're pretty early on in the game and she's going for the Aftershock build and not getting much defense, then if Rhyme can get a kill on Koshka in the early to mid game, then it will just snowball from there, because Koshka will not be able to come back from losing the early game.
Yep. There's also one thing that I want to say. I actually hope that Chingy on this Koshka would just avoid that Aftershock Broken Myth build and just immediately hop on to that Shatter Glass, just to provide the more crystal, just raw crystal damage, and I think it will work better going up against a Rhyme per se, because Rhyme can take tick damage because of the fortified health, whereas just burst damage, just dealing on Rhyme might actually have a hard time. So I really hope Chingy on this Koshka will just go for the Shatter Glass into like boots and then Broken Myth. Then from there, actually just build the defense needed for the late game, just to tank up, be in the front lines, as with Blackfeather, Aeon on this Blackfeather, just being in the front lines, and probably Deity Stars on this Idris priority target would be the Blackfeather, because we all know how Koshka is just going to fade off in the late game and becoming less relevant.
Yeah, Rhyme is quite a tanky hero, but generally is that hasn't got that much health. It's mainly the fortified health that makes him so tanky. And Aftershock doesn't proc off fortified health, it procs off health. So Aftershock isn't as effective as against Rhyme, because he won't be building that much health. But Adagio definitely will be, with once you get that heal scaling with health. I think Aftershock would be the worst idea for Koshka, because obviously going Shatter Glass first, you're generally going towards more late game damage, because Aftershock tends to fall off towards the late game. But if Koshka gets to late game, then it's too late already. He kind of needs that early game pressure, which is what an Aftershock will provide. So it's a trade-off Koshka has to make, whether she wants to be relevant throughout more of the game or more relevant at the start of the game.
Yeah, I personally think I mean we both agree that Aftershock would not work very well going into this Rhyme, and it makes sense, and especially when Delphi is actually, they are maybe looking for a fight.
Now, Shing, you're just going to get a little bit of poke, going to go on Stealthfire and just try and run around as much as possible. It's Scouts in the bush, and that's a good rotation for Deity Star. Shingy going low. He's going to run away, though, because that is a fast Koshka with all abilities available. Just going to go off, get some farm. And Delphi may try and secure this trim. But Shingy's actually going to get a nice heal from Lyra. Halcon is low on energy, actually. Cannot afford to cast the Chill Winds, which would have probably locked Koshka in place and picked up the kill. But Aeon's rotating down. Harkon's now can afford to do a Chill Wind, but it's just going to win Spire instead. So Harkon's needs to port home, needs to get himself an energy battery before he can really start being equivalent to Koshka's damage in these team fights. As Koshka picks up the mid without consent.
Yep, definitely. For Rhyme, I play a lot of Rhyme, and I enjoy my Rhymes because, especially against like a double melee or triple melee comps, you see Rhyme truly shines. Rhyme, unlike that of a Fortress or Rona, is not very as niche as them, but it's more like because with a Rhyme pickup, you know what you're going for. You know you want to just protect your backlines, or you guys as a Rhyme pickup with an Idris, it is more like you are just provide the zoning. You are just providing the zoning capabilities. Oh, Koshka might be caught up.
He caught out a little bit. The Imperial Sigil was going to need for a nice speed boost to get away, but Harkon is just showing that all he has to do, land a basic attack, land that Chill Wind route onto Koshka. If Daisy Stars is there, that's a free Chakram hit and a basic attack. Koshka has to just run away. She can't go in, can't do the damage. It does appear like Koshka's going to go the Aftershock build. She clearly just wants to win this early game as much as she can. There is a 400 gold lead for Popeyes, so Koshka's doing all right. Aeon's just going to try and 1v2 in the lane. He's doing well at dodging Chakrams and getting as much hits as possible. Yeah, Koshka's really just seeing it's not the best build, but she's just trying to get as early game as possible.
Yep, I'm not surprised Koshka going for this Aftershock build because of the early game. We know Rhyme with his fortified scaling, he does so much better after a lot of crystal. And if you are going to actually just go for the Aftershock going up against this Rhyme, then you definitely win Rhyme in the early game tussle and fight. So, good job on this Koshka. But then considering late game when Rhyme actually starts scaling with more weapon, with more crystal, and when Adagio's heal becomes more substantiatable, that is when, Koshka will start to fall off. And when Idris does manage, Idris, take a look, Idris is actually going down.
Oh, Koshka with the yummy catnip friend. See, as soon as she hit level 6, straight up lane, there isn't a block on Idris because he hadn't actually shocked yet, I don't believe. And now he can pick up towards that soul blade, but still no reflex block on Idris or on Rhyme. So Koshka in 45 seconds may be able to get another yummy catnip frenzy, and that basically gave them three mids and fronts away from Artisan, because Koshka with the yummy catnip frenzy has such a much bigger power spike than Harkon does with his Vainglory at level 6.
Yep, definitely. And also, for one thing about Rhyme is that once it starts, going to the team fight, not for a team fight, sorry, in the early game at least, just not even early game, just basically when it's a laning phase, Koshka has the better ganking potential as compared to this Rhyme. Rhyme would still have to hover around, the brush and just look for the opportunity. But then again, there is no CCs, or rather immediate CCs coming out from the side of Artisan. They have Burst of Judgment that would be available for Delphire. There's a boy, they might actually be going in for a fight.
He has got Yummy Cat Frenzy available, doesn't want to dive on the turret. Daisy Star's doing much better this time at noticing the level 6 on Koshka and just staying under turret. So if Shingy decides to Yummy Cat Frenzy in, it's going to take a lot of damage. But Harkon's taking an awful lot of damage. It's going to be a nice heal from Adagio to try and keep him topped up. Shingy not looking for a mid, it's not quite spawning yet. And there it will be, Shingy will get that mid, but Black Feather needs to rotate up to lane quite quickly because it's being pushed in by Harkons and Data Stars. Aeon's going to face it the push. There's 3 members there. Harkon's booting in, but Aeon's going to boot away and feel Sigil. Nice and healthy. He's going back in 2v3 now. Koshka ready from the backside. Stun is going to land on Data Stars. Valkyrie's going to suffer out of the Yummy Cat Defense, but it will not be enough. Shingy's going to do a lot of damage. Aeon's falling low. Harkon's going to try and get some Winter Spires down. Root is going to land. Shingy going very low, but will just about get away. The Frost Guard from Ryan, not quite enough to pick up the kill, but Shingy wants to go back in. You've got no health, but there's an Imperial Sigil to try and keep you nice and healthy. Delphire's just going to poke out. Shingy wants to go in, and Harkon's just going to rotate to his back. And it looks like they're going to want to push this turret. It just is respawning with a reflex block and a shower blade, so that is a blink on Shingy, but nice heal from Lyra, and they will back off, not getting in the turret. Data Stars rotating back to lane nice and quickly.
Yep, and that's one thing about picking out Idris against a Black Feather is that Black Feather can prioritize the poison shift to start the healing coming out from Delphire on this Dajo, whereas for Deity Stars on Idris, you have to quite unlock your divergent path before you can actually just build into, like, say, a poison shift to kind of stun the healing coming out from Tezzaboy. So for the early game, they definitely do have the potential, the advantage at least on the side of Popeyes.
Yeah, definitely. Dave Styles now has got his level 6, but did not upgrade his. Now he's got upgraded his strike. I was wondering why they didn't have that available. So he can dodge out the Uncut the Frenzy if it's timed correctly, but it's much more likely he's just going to reflex block it and use that to dive on top of Aeon and get as much damage as he can. But Shingy doing what Koshka should, going up to lane, trying to get some ganks, if not, trying to get some jungle. And I think they could probably try and sneak a gold mine, Popeyes, but it would be a risky maneuver because Deja Stars will probably just rotate down after clearing this wave.
They are actually going for the gold mine, like you said, and Artisan actually do quite catch them out.
Deja Stars going almost half health with just one Empower basic attack and the Pouncy Bomb. The only kind of fancy onto Rhyme, no big on Rhyme yet. So it's going to land, Rhyme's going to be snared up. Going to go through the portal actually, and that will be Koshka moved by the trees. Needs to take it out. Actually, it was Lyra moved by the trees, and that is most definitely going to come down, and it will do a lot of damage. Popeyes have to back off. Data Stars could get a triple quick if he plays it correctly. Koshka running off towards Sentry, going to get a nice speed boost. Aeon and Tezzaboy both going to get away. Tezzaboy just making sure that Delphi doesn't chase too deep, and Data Stars not quite with enough chase to dive Popeyes all under their Crystal Sentry. Harkon's not having a reflex block. Koshka looking at the scoreboard, seeing that, and instead of ulting Idris, just yumming out defensively onto Rhyme. And you can burst Rhyme down if you have all 3 members and he's stunned. He can't get fortified health when he's stunned, so it was well played there by Popeyes.
Yeah, but we actually did see Harkon surviving for a really, really long time in that 3 before Delphi and Deity Stars actually rotated down. So, I mean, he is rather and starting to get really tanky because we know Rhyme actually do have the lowest defense, rather low defense as compared to the other heroes out there. Chingy is actually jumping in with the Pouncy Fan, but just going to disengage. Chingy might actually be caught out.
Here, but Harkon's going to try and get the kill wins. It's not going to land. Chingy knows her time to go in, but that's 3v1. Chingy's going to get away. She's Koshka. Swirly Death on the gold mine. Give a nice speed boost. And yeah, it was a great rotation down from Data Stars, but Chingy's dodging out the chill wins nice from Harkon. That's going to be a win spot. And that'll be a root on Koshka, but the other kind of defense is going to land anyway. And that's lots of damage to Harkon. Harkon's going to burst down by Chingy. Shimmer Strike from Data Stars will not be enough. Another kill for Koshka. She wants to get a triple, which is very low. There's probably just going to be a turret going for Popeyes. Chingy is tanking the turret. That's not where you want to be. Turret shot, not quite going to pick up the kill. Aeon now also tanking the turret. They didn't quite jump the aggression permanently, but Chingy is going to go in to attack the turret. She's not in the sigil. She will fall to the Dagio. Not the best decision making. Chingy, the minions didn't fall, and she should have let Tezzaboy. They did get the turret, so turret for kill was more than worth it for Popeyes. They'll be happy with how that ended out. Probably not too happy with losing a member pretty unnecessarily.
Yep, and one thing, you would never think that, Lyra kind of counters a Rhyme, but it's just due to Rhyme's weakness to chase, and just Bright Bulwark just reduces your movement speed to nothingness. So, really incredible pickup on this Lyra, and then again, Tezzaboy is getting hit by the Winter's Fire. Nothing will be happening. They are just going to reset after all. But then, as I was speaking about earlier, like, you would not think that Lyra kind of counters Sky or checks. Sorry, not Sky, Rhyme. They might actually just be going another fight right now. They are chasing.
Tezzaboy's going to War Treads in. Arcane Passage is available. He's going to land on the Rhyme. There's still no reflex block. He hasn't got a drug defense yet. Can't afford it, but will not be able to get it. He can get shot, but that'll be Root not quite landing. Delphi's going to fall. Pretty certain, and they're just going to take out the Crystal Sentry. But Koshka did go down, I believe, to Data Stars actually didn't get killed. Must have been Delphi. That is a massive heal on Blackfeather. Just so much damage from this weapon power Blackfeather with a Solar Blade Poison Shiv. Aeon deciding not to go for the sustained build, which we almost always see on Blackfeather. Actually just going for the pure out damage, Solar Blade, and then Poison Shiv, mainly for the Rhyme, because Rhyme wants to get some sustain from that Eve of Harvest. And the main reason why Popeyes won that fight was because Harkons doesn't have a block and hasn't got a broken myth. He needed to go to shop. Harkons had 1,000 broken myth, but because Popeyes had the positioning on the shop, Harkons couldn't get it. Now he's going to port home, get his block, and now Harkons has a chance to actually turn this fight around because he can block the Yamikante Frenzy. And if Koshka does now ult Harkons, which Shingy shouldn't, Shingy should know that Rhyme has a block and actually ult Deity Star to bait the block. If Shingy does ult Rhyme, then Rhyme can get such an easy route, just a basic attack, immediate chill wins, and Shingy will fall so quickly.
Yep, definitely. I mean, for half the fight that was happening, it was just Harkons not even there. For like, you know, majority of the fights, Harkon's taken down so low. Oh, Tezza Boy is actually rooted. Tezza Boy might. Oh.
They're going to go in. Alcapaz is going to go in, and that will be a bright ball will be used by Lara, and that is there. And Root actually on Vibe was rooted by the trip. Shingy is going very low. Shingy is going to not going to get Yamikante Frenzy off, and I'm lagging. I don't know what's happening. Go through it.
Alright, things are happening. Aeon is taken down low. Oh, they actually get a counter ace in favor of Team Artisan. So that is impressive.
Well
I mean, although Harkons did not block that Yamikante Frenzy out successfully, but you know, honestly, it was because Yamikante Frenzy wasn't used as engage. Tezza Boy on this Lara just went in with an Arcane Passage and tried to force an engage, and it was actually in favor of the side of Artisan, and only reason because we are seeing that, and it was because Delphi actually provided a lot of sustain. That's one thing, and also Deity Stars. That fight, it was a lot of Deity Stars, and you know, the important roots actually coming out from the side of Harkons as well.
Popeyes have not enough. Shingy probably wants to go in because that team fight that they lost, they're still ahead on gold, and it's a really good play for Artisan to get that ace because they want to stop Koshka snowballing into late game. But now she's going to start tanking up. Got an Atlas Pauldron, which is a great counter to Idris. It just requires attack speed quite a lot to do the majority of his damage. And Tezza Boy also with an Atlas is going to almost guarantee getting that when he Arcane Passages in, and there's an Infusion out, so two of you is going to be a fight. Infusion is going to be used, but as Yamikante is going to land, not blocked up with the block. And that is Harkon so much health. The healing from the Eagle Harvest is too much. You can't focus down a Ryan, you've got to focus down the Idris. Yamikante and Frenzy landed, but it wasn't enough. Tezza Boy is going to try and run. Shimmershark will pick up the kill. Double for Idris. That is the second ace for Artisan. They're going to try and secure this gold, man. They've got 15 seconds. They should be fine. Minions are at the time, but there's ace buff minions for Artisan, and they will get this gold mine, and they got a second ace. Just this horrible positioning, horrible target focus. You can't focus the Rhyme because he has an Eve of Harvest, and he will sustain through if you're trying to burst him no matter what.
Yeah, but the problem is that if you do not actually focus down the Rhyme, because I think what Papa is going through right now is actually a lot of dilemma, because if you actually just focus down Idris, you might actually take him down really, really quickly. That's one thing. So, you know, you make yourself, you know, you put yourself in a very favorable position, and you can after target Harkons afterwards. Problem with that is that the amount of sustain and damage coming out from Winter Spire and even Valkyrie alone, it's just insane. So, you know, Popeyes is actually in a dilemma right now as to whom to focus down.
Popeyes trying to sneak a Kraken, but it will be spotted out by Artisan, so they're going to back up and not go for it. I think that what needs to happen is the way Popeyes are going to win a fight is burst down Idris, make it a 2v3, wait for Harkons to run out of energy, because he obviously has to keep throwing Inspires, keep throwing Chill Winds, and he will eventually run out of energy, and then you can turn the fight around and beat him. Because a Rhyme with that energy is one of the squishiest heroes there is. So that's really the only thing. If Harkons gets enough energy sustain to keep his energy throughout the fights, then Artisan should win. But that's a triple Atlas by Koshka. If Atlas is going to be blocked up, and they're just going very low. The White Warlock is there, Lara's got Arcane Passage out. That Valkyrie will slow down Aeon. It's going to get rooted up. Harkon's doing lots of damage. Valkyrie's going to be used, and Aeon's actually very low, and he's going to fall. Shingy's going low, but he will pick up an Ace Stars before falling. Shingy's going to go die to this turret shot. No, not quite. 1 minion hit will do it, but Delphi is going to pick up the kill without problem. Tezza Boy, run is Lyra. Lyra's very good at running away, and actually Rhyme knows where Tezza will easily be able to port home. But I'm not quick enough to chase that down, but this will be Kraken going over to Artisan. That was the better team fight. They did trade over a kill and didn't get aced, but Now you see Harkon
I mean,
out of energy.
that was...
If Chingy or Aeon were alive, they would now have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, that was the better fight out of the fight, especially compared to the fight previously. But problem right now is that fight was really messy. They weren't target focused at all. Chingy was going in for Deity Stars, and then we have Harkons just being there, and then we have Aeon going in for Harkons as well. So they need to be more target focused.
Kraken stolen by the Lyra, Imperial Sigil, and Sam's going to fight more in. And Harkons is out of energy. This is not where they can fight. Aeon's going to go in onto Delphi. He's going to pick up the kill. He's going to dive onto Harkons. Harkons can't do anything. He's running out of energy. He can't even use a chill wins. But he will, with Idris, do a lot of damage. The person is going to be the Yamaka Fancy is going to land and not be blocked up. Now Kosh is going to do what he can. Idris doing a lot of damage onto Shingy. Shingy is basically the whole, but it's just been Atlas. They're going to keep Koshka alive. And just going to push this side. Tezzaboy stealing the Kraken with an Imperial Sigil. Harkon's not going to be able to support home. Harkon needs to get home. He hasn't got any energy. And this will probably be a second turret going down. It may be the tier 3 turret as well. Tezzaboy's going to try his best to get this down. And Dave Star's actually going to Atlas the Lyra and might even get the kill here, but Kraken is probably not going to finish off this turret. Koshka having to back off, he's going to take the backs and now run away. That was much better for Popeyes. They turned around a pretty bad position with Lyra stealing on Kraken, but Chingy just doesn't do anywhere near the damage needed. Now we're getting towards the late game.
Yep, definitely. And one thing about that was, because that Lyra steal, it's one thing to be able to steal Kraken, and then on top of that, you actually re-engage. And I do actually see they had the advantage there because Harkons was taking Kraken with close to 0 MP, or rather energy. So, you know, it was a really smart engage coming out from the side of Popeyes. And in fact, you know, coming into this, the next fight, I really hope Harkons actually stop zoning out with the Spire and instead just go in, hard dive in, or just wait for an engage coming out from Popeyes and then hard engage or rather re-engage when Chingy is really deep into the fight. Because we see now that Chingy actually starting to wear off the damage. So, you know, honestly, yeah, so instead of zoning out within the Spire, and that was what happened in the previous fight. Or 2 fights ago, Harkons was basically trying to zone the side of Team Popeyes out. Oh, they are actually going for an engage right now.
Nope. Just poking out with Winter Spires, trying to get as many broken mid stacks as possible. He's got 3 at the moment, so it's not a bad time to fight. Tensboy notices that and just Imperial Sigils them away, back up to full health. From the poke from Rhyme is good, but he's going to boost in, he's going to go. Winter Spire's going to land. So the chill wins onto Rhyme, she's going to go in, War Trend, and they're going to go straight onto Delphi actually. Delphi's basically going to die, but the first shot is going to come down. Delphi's fallen, but so will Shingy, who's Yamaka Defensive, will land and will actually stun up. Idris is going to fall to Aeon. Lovely execute on Black Thunder. Now he's got to dodge the Winter Spires. Happy Feet dancing around. Why with no energy? This is the wing condition for Popeyes, and it will be executed perfectly by Aeon. Tezzaboy healing him up nicely. Harkons needs to get more energy sustained. He can turn the fights around, but not without any energy, and so Aeon just making sure that he could just about kill Idris. A great execute to pick up the kill. Koshka managed to land the stun of a Yami Cat Defensive just before she died, which pretty much saved Aeon's life. And this will be the tier 3 turret falling, and Aeon could try and push for the Kraken. It would be risky. Could be stolen in reverse by Delphi, which would be quite interesting to see. But now Tezzaboy's not going to start it up. Going to be too smart for that. And 2 contraptions picked up for both roams. So vision control. And then they are going to start the Kraken. Do you think they're going to get this, or will it be stolen? Dennis, there you go. Hello? Dennis pissed having problems with his microphone, so
oh my bad.
Go in. Delphi's going to water it in actually, and you are back. But there's going to be a bright ball, and the Yamaka Defensive is going to be used. They're going to be blocked by the Atlas, so there's going to be Burst of Judgment falling down. Triple stun, no push ball for that. That could turn the fight around for Artisan. 2v3, but they're all very low. That was Dennis starts going in and back, but an easy kill there. She is going to try and pull home. Harkon's going to spot her out. We'll get the basic attack in time, and the chill wins. Is going to pick up the kill. Dennis starts just picking, just stealing the kill there away from Rhyme. But that was not the best decision for Tezzaboy. He went for the Kraken instead of going for the team fight, and Artisan war-trencing in, getting the triple stun on the Burst of Judgment, pretty much just turned that fight around.
Yep, what happened there was I disconnected. I thought you disconnected, so I was casting the nobody. But anyways, that fight was just an interesting one because Lara full of another steal. Lara might be in trouble now.
She'll be fine. She'll get off towards the sentry and just be able to try and stun up the Rhyme so that Rhyme cannot chase. Nice aggroing the middle tree in there. Boy used popping the Imperial Sigil a bit too early to steal that, but the minions are pushed up into the base of Artisan. Delphi had to port home to stop it. This could be free Kraken damage for Popeyes if they do notice. Boy is going to get some free poke, but Shingy is only now respawning, so that'll be a lot of free poke damage while Adagio is walking up towards the Kraken. So not the best wave control from Artisan there. When the Kraken not noticing the minions were pushed up, and now Kraken is half health, but it's probably going to be a fight breaking out. So Harkins is boosting in. Warchest is the users is backing off. They don't want to fight around this Kraken. She's going to just fake a port home, I think. No, she's actually going to port home, pick up, probably just repop that infusion or get a bit more energy. And they're going to try and get the second time. That's a triple Atlas by Boy. They're going to be Warchest away by Idris. They don't want to fight. This will be close. Will the Kraken get the turret? Yes, she will. And Shingy's going to do the best to try and take it down, but it will not happen. Now they're going to go in on Danger Stars. That is an Atlas by the Black Feather. And sorry, but yeah, and then there'll be Young Mechanic Frenzy is going to land. Not why Danger Stars dodges it with the Shroud Step, and that is a block on the Verse of Judgment. Ayo does as much damage as he can. That is a lot of energy on Rhyme. Rhyme can probably turn this fight around. He's 1v3, but Rhyme can do that against a triple melee. Get rooted in place. Harkons is going to get Atlas by Shingy. Winterspire is going to land there all very low, but there's the Imperial to keep the dust in health. It's a one kill for Harkons. He's looking for the second. He's under Sentry. He's back in to a 1v3 situation with his Sentry chasing him down and has now running out of energy. Atlas is going to land on the Black Feather, but there is the right ball walk from Lyra. Atlas to Rhyme. I'm sure that won't help you that much. Winterspire is going to connect, but will not be enough. Rhyme eventually running out of energy and too much sustain from Lyra. Popeyes turn the fight around, even with a Koshka in the late game.
Yeah, I mean, it's all down to Aeon, especially in that last fight, because the amount of sustain on Aeon has got a poison shift to help with that little sustain, and not forgetting Tezza's boys, or rather Lyra's Imperial Sigil, that helped the team just go on and on and on, and Prime kind of excels in long team fight, but then against the Lyra and the Black Feather, I don't think it'll work out for you, because, Mortal Wound is a thing, so, it'll stun your healing on Eve of Harvest. So honestly, although you have a lot of mana like earlier on, like you said, Harkons might actually pull out a 1v3 here and score an ace for the side of Artisan, but just looking at how they were playing on the side of Popeyes with Lyra, and Lyra was at like a quarter energy, and with Aeon as a Black Feather, there is really no way for Harkons to come out on top for the 1v3. Granted, Harkons actually managed to take Chingy down, but Chingy do lack damage. Now we are starting to see the damage on Chingy fade off, but so far all of these fights have been rather back and forth. A lot of fights have been happening between or around the Krakens. So Kraken might be looking at the main objective at this point in time for push, because for like both team comms, they do lack the push. They might actually be looking for a team fight right now, the side of Team Artisan.
With double melee on both the carries of both teams, they have a horrible siege potential. They cannot push turrets very well like a Celeste or a Scarf could, so they need to be in melee range of the turrets to do any real damage to it. Obviously, there's just chat coming in on point, but that won't take a turret down very quickly. And so the Kraken is going to be such an important objective for both teams. If either team gets an ace, that will probably be the game, with death time is quite long at the moment. And so even though Kraken will be important, the team fight is far more important, because you can secure Kraken, but the base will be taken much quicker. But there's Lara going low. It's going to be an Atlas down onto Idris if she's going low. And that's Aeon's going to go virtually even low. First judgment was used. There's lots of sustain coming up from everyone. Another fight forward from Lyra. And Delphi is actually the first to fall. Tessa Boy's going low, but Shingy and Aeon are both so low. Fountain is not available. Koshka's already used it. And Aeon's going to try and run away. It will not be enough. Harkon's just using his sustain to the fullest potential, and that was the win condition for Artisan. They just needed to let Ryan do the damage, let him get on top of Shingy and Aeon, and then he could easily do enough damage to win this game.
Yep, they are going to go for, or rather try to go for the game at this point in time, going for the Crystal Turret. They managed to take one down. Everyone is coming up in only 20 seconds, so they are definitely going to have this game. And like you said earlier on, it was just down to Harkons just being in the front lines, tanking up and just soaking up the damage as much as possible that Eve of Harvest and the Fortified Hell can give. And we are seeing these two team comms right now. Both of them has got equally a similar amount of sustain. Of course, better sustain coming out from the side of Popeyes with that Imperial Sigil that can heal, that can provide a team-wide heal. So just looking through and going through the builds right now, everyone is pretty much full build. We have Lyra actually on the gauntlet, the Now Wave gauntlet. I was actually hoping to see, like we saw yesterday, an Echo on Lyra, because that'll be an interesting to see on a pickup on Lyra at least. So we will see either double Imperial Sigil or even just double Arcane Passage, just for the fun.
Quite fun.
Yeah, but anyways, just going through the builds, Deity Stars just stopping at the 3 builds, Poison Shift, 3 attack items, Poison Shift, Breaking Point, and Sorrow Blade, just completing the build with an Atlas Pauldron and an Aegis and War Threads. And on the side of Delphire, it's kind of the same standard builds, but I really like the pickup on Contraption for the side of Delphire, because usually, because you'll be in the center casting of your Verse of Judgment, yeah? You would usually go for the Atlas Pauldron instead of, say, another purple item, a utility item like that or Contraption. The only reason I like that is because the amount of vision they provide would just allow Harkon to not poke as much. Granted, Harkon is really just poking for the stacks on Broken Myth, but even then, I see a lot of the times Harkon just sending Witness Fire into blind bushes and see whether he has a tick on his Broken Myth or even just Fortified Health.
Yeah, what I really liked from Harkon's was that he bought a Piercing Spear as his last item, obviously not as a tier 3 item, but because he could only afford, he only had about 1,000 gold to buy an item, so he decided to go for a Piercing Spear because there was an Aegis and Fountain on Koshka and a full Aegis on Idris, and that extra 8% shield pierce pretty much turned the fight around for because Rhyme was finding it really hard to actually burst down anyone from anyone like Koshka or Idris. They just couldn't burst them down in time because they had so much shielding, and so picking up that extra piercing spear just enough to pierce through that shield that they had. And yeah, that last team fight, there was so much sustain from both sides, but Rhyme was going to win the sustain war even against the Lyra once he got towards more late game.
Yeah, but honestly, Rhyme didn't have to deal that burst of damage. Rhyme just needed to be in front so that everyone is targeting the Rhyme, just using all skills on Rhyme, so Rhyme can just soak up with the fortified health and then just allow Idris at the backlines, Deity Stars on this Idris in the backlines, just poking out and dealing out a lot of damage. I mean, they just left Deity Stars unchecked in the last game, and then they were so target focused, they decided that Black Feather was the main threat. They just went for Black Feather, and then afterwards for Chingy, then Lyra.
Yeah, Rhyme is one of those heroes where if you play him, you're very likely to win, not because he's really strong, but because if you're going to pick Rhyme, that means you're against double or triple melee, and you're probably going to win because you've outdrafted them. So it's important to have a really high win percentage with Rhyme, but just because whenever Rhyme is right to pick, he is really good, but he's not the strongest hero.
I mean, he's definitely not meta. Situation. Yep, he's definitely not a meta pick, but then like Rona and Fortress, he has his own niche, and his capabilities or his superiority only comes out when up against like double or triple melee comps. So, you know, it is quite interesting to see Rhyme getting picked up. I mean, it is the first Rhyme of the series after all. So, but then again, I was actually expecting an Ozo coming out. Granted, Lyra would actually counter or check Ozo. Acrobounds would not be able to use 3-Ring Circus as well. Bangarang, in fact. But then I was just looking at the last pick coming out from the side of Artisan. I was just hoping, really, really hoping for an Ozo being picked up.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see Ozo, but obviously he's not that meta. Obviously, with the heal meta at the moment, Ozo can work really well. But if they build a poison shift against you, that basically counters Ozo's heroic perk, so he gains no extra healing, and then he's just an all-white hero at best. Because without that Carly Luck extra healing, he's just a bit too squishy because he relies on that to stay alive. But without further ado, the draft is ready. The teams are ready, so we're now going to go into the draft.
Right. So coming to this draft, there is really no real threat in that game itself, except for, I mean, even Deity Stars on his Idris wasn't posing a big threat to the side of Popeyes as well. So we actually do see a traditional Vox getting banned out. I'm not surprised if the next ban would be Idris or Baron.
Yeah, Baron's quite likely. Also, Lyra would be quite likely to be either banned or picked up quite early on. We saw how strong Lyra's heal was, even though it wasn't quite enough to win them the game. It did help out an awful lot in the team fight, especially in the mid game when Koshka was starting to fall off a little bit, but hadn't quite fallen off yet. And it would make sense for them. They could try and pick Baron, but Baron can be quite easily countered if you just go. If you go tanky heroes, don't go for full squishy heroes, and you should be alright against the Baron. Or just go for like a Celeste. You can outrange him and outpoke him.
But I think Baron as a pickup is the more intelligent choice at this point in time, only because there are no other weapon laners out there barring Idris. So if Baron is actually getting picked up on the side of Artisan, definitely the response on Popeye should be that of Idris. If not, then we saw in the game of Elite 8, they might actually just run, sandwich carry comp, have a Celeste or a mage or another mage, like say that of Scarf in lane against this Baron. So we actually do see a Catherine being picked up on the side of Artisan. So, Catherine being picked up, that means that you would not want to go for Baron, because Catherine kind of checks Baron with the Storm Guard and the very reliable Merciless Pursuit.
Yeah, Baron's obviously it's not you can't pick it into Catherine, but it just makes it a lot harder to play as a Baron into a Catherine. So they might go for an Idris again here, but I don't think that would make much sense. Sky would be an alright pick. Sky's good to counter Catherine. But if you're not comfortable playing Sky, then it wouldn't make a lot of sense. They might just go for the Ardent and then see if they want to try and ban away something like a Batiste if they don't want to play it, or maybe even try and pick up a Batiste if it's allowed to them. I don't expect Grace, because we haven't seen much Grace. People aren't that comfortable on Grace, but it wouldn't be a bad pick.
We actually do see a Castro coming out. Yeah, from the side of Popeyes. I mean, Castro is not at all a terrible pick, but then picking a Castro right into a Catherine might actually spell trouble. I mean, it'll be, not
risky.
Bad hero to pick out against Catherine, but then it is a very risky hero. So we actually do see a Baron banned out. Honestly, with a Catherine and Baron, with a Castro alone, I think you can out damage Baron in the mid game before Baron actually collects, a pickup the tension bow. So the Baron ban out is intelligent, because if I don't want to play it, I'm not allowing you to play it as well, like you always say. So it is a smart ban. But the side of Artisan though, that ban coming out from the side of Artisan, a Grumpjaw ban. Well,
I've seen one Grumpjaw and he lost, but clearly they're just worried that they don't want to. Grumpjaw's an alright flex pick, can either go Crystal Weapon or Captain, so they don't want to give that over. A good flex now would be great, but they are going to go for the Batiste. They don't want it to be picked against them. I think the reason they picked Kestrel first was because we've seen Kestrel being banned in the second round of bans quite a lot. So they don't want to let Kestrel get banned from them, so they're just going to pick it as first pick, because the main counter to Kestrel has already been picked, so they're not worried about being countered. Yep. Celeste's great into Batiste. Celeste is much longer range. It's even at level 1, Celeste has probably has a longer range than Batiste, especially with Supernovas. And once Celeste hits level 8, it's going to be not much of a contest. I would be surprised if they go, Idris or Blackfeather here, because they're not going to go any ranged kind of carry, because that's no one who's left is as good as Kestrel. You could try Ringo or Gwen, but they're not going to be able to out damage Kestrel in a 1v1. Kestrel's glimmer shots are far too strong.
Definitely.
What captain would you like to see here? I'd like to see someone just like an Arden, just try and keep that Kestrel alive in lane.
Yeah, I mean, Arden would be the better choice right now, but I'm not surprised to actually see, a Grace getting picked up here. I've been talking about Grace because I really want to see Grace. I see a lot of potential in Grace, especially coming into a healing comp, a healing meta like that in 2.6, and even the previous meta, it was really a lot about healing and Poison Shift, and that is why Poison Shift has been assigned to all of the heroes out there. So we actually do see a Taka getting picked out. Then again, the team comp coming from the side of Popeyes, I do understand the Taka pickup going into the Celeste, But then we must consider the fact that there is Catherine, there is Black Feather. They can peel well for Celeste, or rather, when you jump in, then you risk yourself in immediate danger because of the big threats like Black Feather and that of Catherine. Then again, personally, I prefer the team comp coming out from the side of Artisan, only because of the Catherine. They have a proper engage with Catherine and Black Feather. The balance of the team is just, and they also do have that Celeste to just outrange and just outpoke Batiste. And because I mean we are going to see a Rome Batiste. There is no way to argue that. So if they're having fun, then of course a Rome Taka. So I mean Milski and I were talking about Milski and I were talking about that earlier on. It was the Rome Taka that we were talking about. But anyways, double Invis comp. It's been a while since we saw this.
It's not a bad idea to pick up the 2 stealth heroes, obviously excluding Flicker, to pick Catherine and Attacker against a captain like Lance who does not want to build contraption because it doesn't synergize well with their kit. I reckon Catherine's just going to go contraption first item. Like there's obviously Fountain is the best captain item in the game, but similarly against a double stealth comp, if Catherine wins the Vision War, she pretty much wins the game. Especially with the Celeste, probably going to be a jungle Celeste. If Celeste can not lose her farm, we saw Attacker earlier on against the Scarf, and the reason Attacker won that game was because Scarf lost her jungle, was about 20 CS behind Attacker, only about 10 minutes in. And so if Catherine can win this Vision War, she'll pretty much win the game. So I would definitely expect to see a contraption first, but almost definitely second item for Catherine. And also, the cooldown it gives you just means that you can... which means you can keep and be so tanky in the late game that they will just not be able to kill you.
Yep, definitely. But I mean, picking up 2 stealth heroes, it's not a terrible thing. Firstly, because besides being able to go stealth, you actually do force the roam to just pick up a contraption really early, or just putting out a lot of vision in the early game. So, forcing the roam to go into that position is kind of healthy for your side, because I mean, as a stealth hero, your enemy, or the thing that gets you would be vision, but then just forcing your opponent's team to, instead of building, say, like a fountain or into other items, your main carries have to go with a vision as well, because just considering how expensive vision generally is and easy to spot out in Vainglory. So just forcing your opponent's team to actually just put out vision in the early game, and just would give you that slight advantage.
Oh, Attacker steals the Elder Tree, but they will know where he is because the Tree Hill going towards him, and Tesla is going to rotate down to just make sure he's okay. Deity Stars rotated down to jungle to help secure the Elder Tree, but didn't get it with the Supernova. And actually, it is very interesting to see a Celeste in lane again today. This may be something new. The teams have decided that Celeste is far better in the lane at getting items as opposed to getting levels. Obviously, Celeste will struggle in the jungle in the early game, so maybe they're too worried that she'll be just out jungled by Taka and will not be able to get any levels, and then they'll lose the game from there. But yeah, they just want to see Celeste with lots of items, which is not a bad idea.
The difference between Deity Stars, or rather the side of Artisan putting his Celeste in lane, is that they do not actually have the gank potential. I mean, granted, they have Delphire on this Catherine sitting up in lane, just babysitting Deity Stars and just providing a lot of pestering with the Merciless Pursuit. But even then, they do not have the exact, or rather, as good a gank potential as the comp that was brought out by the side of Elite 8. But then again, putting Celeste in lane is a clever thing, because
Celeste's going to get ganked here by Xing Yi. Xing is going to easily pick up the kill. And they're going to get Delphire 2 kills going over to Popeyes. That was Boy being in lane, and obviously Catherine has a Merciless Pursuit, but with Boy's ordained on this Batiste, he can just as easily get a stun on Celeste, because Celeste has to run away because she knows Taka's going to be rotating up as soon as that ordained hits her. So this is either forcing a reflex block on Celeste really early, or she's going to have to just back off and try and farm under turret and try and stay right at the top of the lane, so that Boy can't quite cast the ordained, and Taka will not be able to gank her as easily, because as it is, Leicester's just going to fall far too quickly to Taka.
Yep, definitely. But then again, I can see in the later game when, Chingy on this Taka would start being a really big harassment to the side of Artisan. Taka would be going for Black Feather now.
Yeah, Taka's going to go in on Black Feather, but Chingy's just going to run away. Hasn't got the Kaku yet, so doesn't really want to fight against. Now that most offensive is struggling in his ability to expose Tackle and stealth, can only rely on an on point to actually do that. Celeste is quite good at exposing Tackle with against basic attack. But now we're seeing him spotted out. Shingy actually using boots there to try and get on top of Celeste, but a well-timed Helio spots him out. So that's going to be wasted boots for another 150 seconds. And Tackle's just going to go back and farm. Datastars knows Tackle isn't there, so can freely farm for a little bit. And that was one game that didn't happen because of just good time. Yep,
definitely. But then I see in the late game how the fight would actually pan out would be Boy and his Batiste would actually start the initiate or just wait for Chingy to go into the back lines, and then Ordain would be casted by Deity Stars. Ordain would be casted by Deity Stars and on Deity Stars, restricting Deity Stars movement, and it just pounds onto the Celeste, and they might actually have the game. Harkons is taken really low just by 2 Glimmer Shots and an Ordain. So, really, really good play. And even in the early game, right? Because we know Taka scales quite well into the late game with, just going for the Aftershock build itself. Unlike that of Koshka. Koshka kind of falls off, but then for Taka, because you bring so much utility and your Mortal Wound, the damage and the bleeding that comes from Etsuretsu is just insane in a later game. Especially against Celeste.
Yeah, you have so many more Etsuretsus in a team fight than Koshka would have young Cat and friends. And now they're just going to poke up, push this turret, and Destiny Stars is trying to get a nice double stun by the core collapse there, and that will be an easy kill going over to Celeste. But look at the turret, it's so low. Elbow can stun out Aeon. Aeon's actually no energy currently. He can't afford to do an active cover, but can afford to do some Glimmer Shots onto the 80 Stars, who will go low. But Taka trying to go in a little bit too deep to get that turret and will die for it. But that turret is now a Glimmer Shot away from dead. If minions get pushed in, that will be pretty much it. Taka actually looking like he's going to go for the Stormguard banner Aftershock build, which is really good. I like to see an Aftershock first before actually picking up the Storm Crown. The Storm Crown is, if you're not going to invade the jungle and you don't need to steal the enemy farm as quickly as possible, you can survive with just a Storm Crown, not a full. Sorry, just a Stormguard banner, not a full Storm Crown.
Yeah, I mean, Harkon is actually
he is going to get it. Taka is going to get the Storm Crown, which is all right. If he's going to go into the jungle, that's not a bad idea to steal it.
Yeah, definitely. There is generally 2 Taka players. One goes for the Aftershock for the extra boost for your crystal damage, and the other just go for the Storm Crown. So you can do that, true damage once in a while. Oh, okay, so they actually do manage a Chitin over the turret, and then the turret goes down. They are preparing for the defense. Ordain is used.
There Stars is going to go very low. Taka's going to pick up the kill. Fountain isn't enough. Aeon's on the back line, going to take out Kessler as well. I think how much up's going to expire, but Aeon's already dead, so it's not going to matter. And then Harkons is not going to be able to chase Taka. He's going to try and chase Harkons. There was a turret there, but Harkons is probably going to be able to get this kill anyway if he wants to dive it, but he doesn't want to dive on the turret too deep. And Data Stars needs a reflex block, has picked up a reflex block, and now the gank coming out from Popeyes is going to be so much weaker because Celeste can just block out of it, and then Taka's going to be caught out by Catherine and by Harkons if he can't dive on top of Data Stars. We already saw that Aeon hasn't got enough damage to burst down Harkons before Harkons can kill him, because that Black Feather going for the sustain build means he's going to probably be able to beat him on ground. But now this is going to be Taka going against him to win. Ordain's going to land. He's not going to stay inside actually. He's going to dodge the stun Catherine, but the Fist and Shade is going to push them away. That wasn't quite what Shingy wanted. He's going to be flared out, and Data Stars is just going to port home. Has got there's going to be Goldmine probably been taken by Popeyes here. It's probably going to be an ult from Data Stars if Catherine does manage to get a flare on it, which she will. Data Stars knows how the Goldmine is. It's probably worth an ult. There's another flare. Data Stars going to go for it. No, nowhere near earlier enough actually. Popeyes doing far too much damage. Far more damage than Data Stars expected.
Okay, so Boy actually just completed the first Crucible, and that is actually quite a big item pickup for the side of Popeyes, only because of the blocking out just the silence from Catherine, because early on that fight, it was because of the silence that was blocked out that, the side of Artisan got a slight edge. So, it's a great pickup on the Crucible on the side of Boy. So, with the Crucible pickup, I can see the side of Popeyes actually trying to force the next engage with the fact that a Blast Tremor is currently down.
Yeah, Blast Tremor's not up for another 20 seconds, so I don't think they know that. I don't think Popeyes know exactly when Captain's Blast Tremor is up, so if the Artisan don't get over they should wait enough time for the ultimates from Celeste and Captain to be back up. Shiggy with an infusion ready to pop, so it looks like they will want to fight quite soon. And Catherine has now picked up the contraption, so the vision control will be almost entirely in Artisan's favour. With Tesla Boy only having spaces for flares, hasn't got any slots for scout traps, and there were no scout traps for Popeyes, so they're just hoping that flares will be enough and they can just pop the vision of Artisan and not try and contest it with their own, because without the full contraptions, unlikely. Dave does it's caught out. He's trying to put home, and there will be a block of the but also a block of the Blossom. A lovely block of the captain there. Tesla Boy doing great with his Crucible, and a Fist of Shade not going to connect to anyone. Dave starts slightly out of position, clearing the way for Manifestation to block the Ordained. Shiggy take a lot of poke. Going to just dodge that second Helio, but Shiggy wants to go in. She's going to be flared out, so Dave Stars knows exactly where he is. Now he's level 8, so Dave Stars with way more poke than before. Attacker's going to be waiting on the edge. He's not going to be fed out. He's going to go in. Dave's going to get X-West, who has not got a block with the James. He's actually stunned out by Catherine, and the score collapse is going to land, but Catherine's there to try and help Dave Stars, and he will just block the one shot. Harker's going to block it. Shiggy's going to almost fall. Blackfire can pick up the kill. Kestrel had to port home. As the boys just going to run back to his turret. Harkons can't do anything. Celeste is going to port home, and that was a good fight from Dave Stars, picking up that light shield on Tanaka.
Wow,
that's such a difference because they just are surviving with a slither of health.
Yeah, that fight alone. I mean, the team comp coming out from the side of Popeyes is almost starting to fall apart. I say that because they have no true initiator, barring this Taka, this Chingy on Taka. Basically, Taka at Zuretsu in basic attack, and then Kaiten. But that's about the combo. If you cannot take down Celeste by this combination, and then you'll be looking at yourself pretty green, because the side of Harkons can actually put up more damage than you, and talking about damage, they are trying to exchange.
Or Dane's on Harkons, he'll block it with his Rose and defensive Desmond's going very low, he's going to pound it, but that is Harkons almost falling to the Black Panther. One shot, one kill land, Delphi, but there he starts, it's full health. Harkons without any shielding is going to go very, very low to this Taka, and Shingy's going to try and take this gold mine just to do it for a little bit of a speed boost, and Harkons wants to put home, but Daystars could try and sneak a gold mine, but they're not going to go for it. Just wants to push this lane in. So that's a really good wave clear. No Takka's not there, so he's going to be able to clear this up. Taka is going to stealth into the bush. I think he might have been caught out, so Daystars will know she is there. Harkon's focusing up the lane as well. Looks like the fight could be breaking out, as well as going to be caught outside that position. And Shingy really wants to serve with Daystars, but there's so much vision from Catherine that in Artisan's jungle, there is almost no chance for Taka to do a sneaky play because there's too much vision. Whereas if Artisan try and go into Popeye's jungle, try and fight maybe on their side of the lane or around the Kraken, then it's likely that Taka will be able to sneak on top of Celeste, and that could be disastrous for Daystars. He has the boots away, Taka can just X-Retsu in, and you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but one thing's for sure. As Aeon is starting to ramp up on the damage, we saw they are starting to change the target onto Harkons, because they just realized how incredibly Harkons is, how incredibly squishy Harkons is. And then in order for them to actually go into the backlines for Deity Stars, it is quite a problem for them, because we see Catherine, instead of accompanying Harkons to be in the front line, Delphi is just standing by Deity Star. So just in case Chingy comes in for an Ezretsu, Deity Star, Delphi is there to just stun him out.
And Delphi's going to be frontlining again. That's all they've allowed today. So he's going to block out, and Hawkins is going to step away. Now Delphi going to fall, not quite. He's going to be Echo on Batiste there, getting a double fear onto Delphi. Noah did not spot that out, but it worked out. It didn't quite work out because Delphi managed to get the fountain off after the first sphere before the second one, so he did not fall. This will be Taka soloing the gold mine, and Aeon we're going to rotate down to help. Harkons wants to try and steal this. They're all three members of Artisan are going to rotate down. I reckon Celeste's got a solar storm ready to try and steal this gold mine. It's going to be used a little bit late again, and the blast will come out. Aeon can't even He's not even get a mid-tree to try and survive. He'd be too low, and he has to port home. Celeste with an extra, 10 crystal power would have picked up the kill there, but not quite.
Yeah, that was an insane solar storm coming out from there. Oh, and Tezzaboy is dead. Yep, yeah. Okay.
trying to put vision down, trying to pop any vision that Captain might have, but get caught out. Kestrel had to port home, and sorry, carry on. That was just slightly bad positioning.
Yep, I know really the team comp coming out from the side of Popeyes is really starting to fall apart. With Chingy unable to get in the backline, Chingy would actually be trying right now. Oh, Hakon was taken down.
Chingy is managing to get on top of the Black Feather, but Daystars has no energy. Chingy's going to exit to minions try and get closer to Deity Stars, but they will back off under turret. Lex is going to try her hardest to defend this turret, but she's going to port home, and it will probably just fall. I doubt they'll be able to stop this if Aeon and Shingy want to push it really hard. But actually, Celeste's going to be back, and Shingy isn't pushing the turret, so it's unlikely to fall because Celeste can kill this wave really quickly. Good stun by Catherine, actually. Shingy's going to go low. Exit 2 is going to go to the turret. Ordain landing onto Deity Stars, and the turret is going to probably fall. That is the Fearsome Shade used by Batiste. Echo isn't up for another 10 seconds, so there will not be a second. And yes, Shingy diving onto the turret and making sure they got it down, so one turret taken for each team.
Yep, I mean, objective-wise, the side of Popeyes is definitely coming out on top with still 4 turrets going up against 3 turrets. But there's one thing I realized about Tezzaboy and this Batiste. Instead of using Batiste, using a Fearsome Shade in team fights to send the team of 3 into a wall, making them useless and unable to click anywhere, tap anywhere, Tezzaboy is actually just using Fearsome Shade as a way to shoo them off. And I don't think that's a really good use of Fearsome Shade. I mean, it is one of the users. But fearing the enemies off when you do not exactly have far-reaching or gap-closing heroes, barring that of Chingy. But then Chingy already has a tough time going into the back lines. So I think a more calculated use of Fearsome Shade would be better and would definitely gel and be what it is to bring the next team fight.
Let's see what he's going to do. Delpha's going to get stunned onto Aeon. Aeon's going to go very low. Delpha's stunned by this. That's core collapse, and that will be a kill. Going up to Black Feather and Solar Storm just to make sure Shingy's now going very low. He can't go that way. There's too much vision. Shingy's going to try and run away, but that's a stun from Catherine. They've got vision. That's the core collapse. Not going to land, actually. Shingy's going to go low, and he's going to try and tighten over the Genesis. He's going to try and run away. There's a basic attack following him. Harkons is going to be on the back line. That's a kill for Harkons. That will be a sentry falling, and that will be Kraken going over to Artisan. The Fearsome Shade wasn't really used that effectively. I don't think I even noticed it in that team fight because he either needs to get, obviously, the if he gets to be a dead Celeste tackle, he's easily able to pick up the kill with just basic attacks Kaiten and X-Retsu. But Celeste is positioning so well. She's positioning so that the direct line for Batiste to Celeste is never going to be Celeste then going to a wall. Celeste is always going to be either going out away from the attacker, away from the Batiste, away from the Kestrel, or the Fear will just not be able to hit Celeste. So it's really good positioning from the Deity Stars, and they're going to try and push this Kraken in. But it will be pretty good defense. Kestrel's good at defending Kraken, and Shingy will be trying to dive in onto the Deity Stars. And he's going to exit the window. They're going to be blocking of the core collapse, and the blast trap is going to land onto Kestrel. There's 2 active camo traps. He could get a shot. He's going to kill Harkons. Harkons is going to go basically dead. One shot is available for Kestrel, but that was bounced and used by Delphi, so Harkons will be okay. But then Shingy going into Harkons' vision. Harkons going to use his Rose offensive away. Tezzaboy very low, but he's got Batiste. He's going to heal up off this Kraken. One shot, 1 kill onto the Black Feather, and that is a Celeste Solar Storm. Almost one Solar Storm, 1 kill onto Aeon, but doesn't quite pick it up. Lovely 1 shot from Aeon. The Kraken was going to get the turret anyway, and they will stop it taking this tier 3 turret. Good fight from Popeyes there, getting a lot of damage from the Kestrel onto the Harkons and onto Deity Stars.
Yeah, like you were saying before, Deity Stars, his positioning was just insane. There is really no way for Tezzaboy to use a very successful Fearsome Shade per se, and that is really just went down to Deity Stars positioning. I mean, Tezzaboy actually did try to go to front line and cast Ordain on Deity Stars, but then again, Deity Stars is a mage. He's already kind of immobile. She will just stand there and cast stars upon stars, and even casting Ordain on him wouldn't on Deity Stars wouldn't quite work out well for your team. Granted, Chingy would have better chase potential, just far-reaching in the back line with Ordain on Deity Stars, but I think that Harkons is proving to be much more of a threat right now. Threat in the sense of the the side of Popeyes executing the team comp. So I personally think that Ordain should be cast on Harkons to stop any engagement coming out from Harkons or even just Delphi alone, and then Chingy can just go to the back lines, go after Deity Stars, because they are actually looking for a fight right now. They might actually be.
Yeah, Harkon's just going to try and get to Aeon, but it's not quite going to work out because there's a trap there. Deity Stars got the best. He's going to have to block. Not going to block. Actually, he's going to get stunned by the Ordained. He's going to fall. The second Wisdom Shade going to come down, and Harkon's actually diving in onto Aeon. Aeon's going to go low. He's going to land the active camo trap. This is just Delphi left to try and kill Aeon. He's going to War Dreads away. Smart play. He's trying to stop him from pushing, and that will be a shutdown ace for Popeyes, and that will be Kraken. She'll be respawning soon. I'm pretty sure that Aeon's going to push one turret, and then they're going to get the Kraken.
Yeah, I mean, that was the fight that Popeyes was looking for, and it was Ordain used and into Fearsome Shade as well. That Ordain was done well because Deity Stars was so gathered in the front lines together with Harkons and Delphire. There was really no way she can actually just poke in from the back. So, Ordain used in that circumstances, it was a great way to play Ordain because, just allowing Celeste to just be there, not being able to move out when you're in the wrong position or, unfavorable, disfavorable position, it is a great play of Ordain, and that Fearsome Shade early on just made Celeste useless throughout the team fight. And awesome play coming out from Tezzaboy with that Ordain and Fearsome Shade. But a lot of credits actually just going down to Chingy. Chingy was really target focused. If he thinks that Deity Stars is too far for him, he actually just go for Harkons. Harkons was left to do whatever he needs to do, but then the active camo coming out from Aeon, like you said earlier on, was just insane, and it was a great stun coming out from Aeon that actually got them that ace.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be all about that Ordained and Fearsome Shade again. Deity Stars not quite blocking the Ordained time that time because of the Fearsome Shade. And as they see Shingy out of position, they're going to go in as a scout trap. Their Harkons is just going to back off, and Shingy's going to boot away. Now, was War Treads used by Catherine and boots used by Harkons, but just nothing going to come out of it. It appears Deity Stars is going to get a Slumbering Husk as a last item instead of going 4 damage items on Celeste. What do you think? Do you think you should have gone for maybe a Shatterglass last item, or do you like the Husk against this Tacker?
For me personally, I think Deity Stars was positioned in really, really well throughout all the games. So I personally think she should have just went for, another damage item, like you said, a Shatterglass, instead of a Slumbering Husk. If she can actually recreate how she was positioned throughout the game, unlike in the previous team fight, she was walking, she was traveling together with his team, and that was what they got them the side of Popeyes the ace. But then if she was positioned and they were actually communicating and understanding that another fight would be breaking out, and just position herself in a really back line so that when Chingy goes into Celeste and try to take Celeste out, then Chingy will get stunned and put himself in a very inferior position as well.
Chingy is trying to be a little bit sneaky there, going towards the front to try to get an extra over the wall, but doesn't quite go for it. Aeon getting a lot of poke onto Harkons. Harkons with tier 2 defense on Kestrel at the moment, and Kestrel going for that 4 damage item. Celeste has now got the Husk, and Catherine with an Echo. That's a big pickup for Catherine. This is a good time for Artisan to fight. They are all infused, and Shingy's about to run out actually. But there's actually a 5k gold lead for Popeyes here, which is not that expected. We didn't think that they were actually that far ahead, but they have just managed to sneak a gold lead with that extra turret they've taken, and with a little bit of extra farm really.
Yeah, I mean, with the double stealth, so you would be expecting them to sneak a gold lead as well. But anyways, I was about to actually talk about the gold lead that Popeyes had excuse me, over Artisan earlier on. Oh, okay, so they are actually trying to go for a team fight right now. I'm not sure.
Celeste is trying to poke out. The gold lead isn't that important because Celeste is fully built, so she doesn't need any more money. Attack is trying to stealth around. She's just trying to poke as much as he can without getting out of position. It's really important. And that is Slumbering Husk popped by the Kestrel. That's not where Deity Stars wants to be. One Glimmer Shot was more than enough to pop that Slumbering Husk from Deity Stars, so he now has to back off. He will know that Kestrel's seen that. Husk is actually up again pretty soon. The buff the Slumbering Husk means that it's up actually a lot quicker than it used to be. So for this next team fight, Deity Stars will have the Husk prop ready. Maybe not right now, but when Tacker dives in, we'll almost definitely have it up. And that's a stun onto Tezzaboy. Just another stack for Delphi, and there's Deity Stars Husk procced again. Looking forward to see that Chingy's trying to go in. Hokon's taking a little bit of poke from Aeon. Aeon's just going to back off towards the sanctuary. There's infusions for everyone except Harkon's. Harkon's actually still needs to get some more items. Tackle is almost fully built. He's in Aegis still in Journey Boots, but Harkon's still needing that last item, I would expect. I'm not sure what he's actually going to get. It'd be interesting to see. He could go for Bonesaw. It'd be unlikely he's going to go for that. Would you think he might go for Venom Trigger, or maybe... or what do you think Harkon's going to build with that attack speed? It'd be a Poison Shiv.
I mean, Bonesaw is not a bad pickup, but Poison Shiv is more likely as a pickup as compared to Bonesaw. But I mean, Bonesaw has got its uses. The armor shredding properties of Bonesaw is just insane, especially if you are going to go for a team fight like right now.
And Chingy's going to block up the Corkland. He's that excited to try and run away. That will be a block on the block of Catherine's blast trem. And Delphi's just going to go in, especially onto Daisy Stars, and this is going to use some sort of actually going to connect Aeon, doing a lot of damage onto Daisy Stars in the backline. Daisy Stars going to have to run away. Corkland's going to land, and that will not quite be the landing on Blackfeather. He's trying to dive on Shingy. Shingy's actually going to pick up this kill without trouble with the bleed. Catherine's going to run away, going to try and put him in the bush, but it's not going to happen. She's going to be spotted out. Mercy's pursuit away. What's Catherine got? She actually might get away. Yeah, Delphi is going to manage to get away. Only Tessa Boy is going to chase, but Tessa Boy is going to chase Catherine, so she will not be able to port home. There are two members pushing down the turrets. Chingy's low, so is Aeon, so this is risky. Catherine's not going to be able to score home, but he's going to definitely stop it. But there are now minions pushing the wave in, and there's no one alive. This is probably going to be the game.
This might actually be the game for Popeyes, and just taking this game
to 1-0.
This game. How do I cancel this game? Well, okay, so that final fight was what that won this game for the side of Popeyes. It is 2-0 for in favor of Popeyes. Of course, I mean that team fight in last minute was so scattered, and although I have a rather big screen to watch team fights, I can't quite focus on two fights. I was actually watching Chingy taking down Harkons, and afterwards I went in to see Aeon taking down Deity Stars. And there's one thing about Celeste going up against Castrol is that, granted, you have Heliogenesis, you have really you can actually zone Castrol out, but then if Castrol is really up in your face with those glimmer shots, and then actually do manage to just run away or dodge all your stars, then it is possible that Castrol will come on top of this 1v1. Just looking through at all the builds, I think the Slumbering Husk, a pickup on Celeste, it's not a bad choice, but then I would prefer, like I said earlier on, a Shatterglass pickup. And on the side of Chingy, Aftershock Stormcrown into Broken Myth, that is quite a standard build, probably building into an Aegis just to counter Deity Stars. And one thing about Chingy, I like the Chingy play, the play on Chingy, and it's that once he realizes that Deity